Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how I was dismissed, I believe unjustly, from a nursing school. So I'm only doing certain videos like this because at one point I was looking for it. I wanted pretty much to hear someone's story and to hear, is it possible to still go back into school, or to hear what it was like for someone to be dismissed and what did they do once they were dismissed. So if you don't know, my background is that I was working in the government for about 6.5 years before entering this program. The program was actually Notre Dame of Maryland. It's a hybrid online nursing program. So fast forward, I decided to take the leap of faith.
Tired, you guys. I feel like that's just like the constant complaints. I'm studying organizations right now. We have multiple finals coming up next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're very important. So I gotta get studying.
I also went to a school called Notre Dame of Staten Island. So I thought that this school was going to be very similar to the Notre Dame of Staten Island. Upon entering this program, if you don't know, I'm obviously into social media, YouTube, and all this stuff. But I decided to completely go off of social media and put all of my efforts into succeeding into this new program. So I pretty much applied everything I knew and was still dismissed. I mean, I believe it was completely unjust. So my grades were pretty high, but I do believe that there was this weeding out process to pretty much fail students, even if their grades were high. The way it works is that if you had less than a certain number on the exam portion, meaning you can have a B in the class, but if you did not have a certain grade on the exam portion, then you didn't pass the program. This program pretty much had no lectures. You pretty much had to teach yourself online, and we would just come in 1 to 2 days a week and practice skills, and also come in to take exams, but there was no classes. The online portion is just that you just read the textbook and you submit your assignments online. That's it. So one professor, or someone who just oversees us in lecture, she even said oh, I can't even believe we get paid for this. And I honestly agree with her, because I don't think she never came prepared. She always would say things like, this is what we do in the real world, but she never told me what the NCLEX did. She never told me what the textbook tells us to do, because sometimes they contradict. Sometimes they're not the same, and you really want someone to teach you what's on the NCLEX and not what is in the real world. So pretty much they just put students out at the end, not even question their professors. And as mentioned, there was no lectures, and you're pretty much just teaching yourself online. And I remember even there was supposed to be a strategy session on how to take an exam, and we had this session after we took an exam. And the way that the exams count so much, you would think that they had their ducks in a row and that we would actually have the strategy session before taking the exam. But I specifically remember that the person that was running this portion of the program said that she had to go to Florida for vacation, and she'll do it when she gets back. So in my opinion, you guys, don't just jump into new programs that are not established. This program didn't even have a retention rate. There wasn't even a graduating class at the time. So it pretty much was just up in the air. There was no results. They made me sign a contract stating that this is what I was pretty much getting myself into. And like most people, most students, most young adults, they just sign the contract because they're so excited about even the acceptance of a nursing school program.
So I make sure that I get here at a decent time so that I could, make sure that I'm as prepared as possible for these classes, right? I'm upset because I have been doing this for 3 months, going hard, doing the best that I can, and I did not pass some classes. And I'm not talking about grades wise. I can insert my grades here. I did excellent as far as grades, but my tests were a little lower than the required. And I just believe that this program has been so disorganized from the time that I began. And I just believe that they are completely unfair. You guys probably have seen how much work I have done, but I just wanted to just indicate that, don't just jump into new programs, because new programs may not be established. And if you do jump into a new program, jump in, I guess, with wisdom. If I didn't have knowledge of the program, or maybe those that took the program before, because some people ended up doing okay, and the only reason why they did okay is because they had a friend in a first cohort, or someone probably passed them the exams or something, gave it to them or told them what they think the test is going to be on. That's the only reason why they could have potentially passed. But I'm telling you, I bust my butt this semester. And I think I've tried to incorporate some videos of how I bust my butt. But y'all, I'm believing God for a turnaround. I'm wearing a shirt because I really believe it. God is a way maker. He's a way maker. And that's what I'm believing for. God's going to work everything out for his good. And he's going to bring a big turnaround. And I'm going to document when he does bring a big turnaround, because I know that we had new professors that barely knew anything. Like, they did not know how the program was almost ran. Like, that's how bad it kind of was. Like, there were comments of, this is what we do in the real world. And while that could sound helpful, it's not. Because when you're telling me what the real world does, but my textbook says to do it this way, then you're giving me false information, and I need to know what this school does. What does this school do? And what does the NCLEX say? Because you can't tell me what the real world does if it's not going to be beneficial to me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I have a lash appointment later, so don't judge my lashes. But I really wanted to just come on and let you guys know that, because it has been such a long semester, and for the outcome, it doesn't make sense. But God makes sense. So we're going to see what God is going to do in this situation, especially when I know that I bust my butt, y'all. I didn't just, not study and then say, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't pass my exam. No. I studied. I prayed and I studied. So now I have to continue to believe God that he is a way maker, and that he is going to turn the situation around, because this makes no sense.
So the dismissal was even more upsetting or devastating, because this was after I did suffer a miscarriage a few months before that. So it was just like back to back losses. But I will say that, God is so good that he provides people around you, and he just gives you the strength to like get through hard things. But anywho, back to, the nursing program. I always tried pretty much to do the right thing, to not cheat. I just noticed that my colleagues, they were getting questions and certain things from those that were ahead of them. And, it was just unfortunate. It wasn't really, I don't know, it was just pretty unfair. And, coming from someone who was a biology major, had 3.8 GPA, to get dismissed was just like, I couldn't understand how or why. So after they realized in about 2 or 3 of my classes that I was like 1 to 2 points short of the test grade. So literally 1 to 2 points. But I requested like a meeting after realizing this, and pretty much had a meeting with like a board, and they pretty much told me like they didn't care about anything that I had to say. I told them how I believe there was some areas that they can improve in. There was some disorganization areas that I can improve in, but just they were completely just they didn't even care. It was like no point of even having that meeting in the first place. And on top of the dismissal, they also put D's on my transcript, so that pretty much I'll never probably enter another nursing school ever in life. So I will say that Notre Dame of Maryland's nursing program, to me, that hybrid online program was the worst program I've ever been in. And I have been in school probably for over like 20 years now. So like, or even longer. So I will say, do your research before jumping into any programs. Make sure that you guys are doing your research, and make sure that you guys are truly understanding what is the role of the professors, what is your role, and also what is the retention rate of the program. And if there has never been a graduating class, then you might want to think twice about entering that program. So that's all I wanted to say. I just want to leave you with that, and I will see you guys later. Bye.